Welcome to Connect to Develop, where we provide insight from healthcare leaders on the hottest topic and trends.
Hello, listeners. It's been a little while since our last episode, and Eric and I have some exciting news to share, which is also the reason that we've been intentionally quiet as we prepped for this next chapter.
Yes, Marney, that's correct. We've decided to narrow the focus of Connect to Develop so it reflects both our passion for learning and teaching and really the unique expertise we offer through our individual consulting practices. Bottom line, it's really about bringing more intentional value to our listeners.
Exactly. Well, before we dive into what's ahead, we wanted to take a moment to reflect on what we've learned over the past year and share it with our listeners, especially if you're out there and you may be thinking about launching your own podcast. And the way I look at it, if our lessons can save you time and help you grow faster, well, then that's a win for us. So let's start with co-hosting or even just getting into podcasting the first time. Erika, when I approached you of this idea to collaborate, you jumped in feet first, which I loved, and you learned about podcasting and hosting, and your thoughts and input has been fantastic. So what's the journey been like?
Honestly, Marty, I was incredibly nervous in the beginning. As you know, this was brand new territory for me. But I have to say that it's been an incredible, valuable experience. I know over the course of our time together, we've had deep and honest conversations between the two of us, as well with some incredible, amazing guests across the healthcare specialties. So it's been just a real great experience thus far.
Very glad. I've been having a blast. So when I first started podcasting, I too was just learning as I went. I even dabbled with some short videos. I was calling them Marney's Minutes, but I really didn't like just staring down a camera and just kind of pontificating to people. So that was my first lesson in the solo venture. And I just really realized I liked discoursing with people, having people to interview, learning from them, maybe even, putting a few of my thoughts in, but not really just sitting there and staring at a camera and just kind of going off about, my personal ideas on a topic. So podcasting with guests, and especially with you coming in as a co-host, just felt much more natural to me because I really have enjoyed moderating panels and have been doing that at society meetings for years. And so if you're out there and you're wondering if a podcast or a blog or, some modality of that is right for you and you like connecting people, that's a key, and you enjoy learning from others, but also sharing your input, then I would say do it. Jump in, maybe listen to a few before you go to kind of get an idea of what your style would be and what's working for others out there. But those are the reasons why I started Connect to Develop, and it's really been a natural fit. Now, I, like some of you out there, also really enjoy writing. I feel like it's a very cathartic process for me, especially when I'm kind of just figuring things out and piecing it together. So blogging is another great medium, but remember, you have to think about who your audience is. Our audience are very busy people. And while they have time to tune in on a podcast, maybe while they're driving, they're working out, they're boarding or deboarding planes, or they're cooking or, something. Podcasting is very easy for people to listen, more so necessarily than sitting down and reading a blogs. Plus, I really feel that connecting people and hearing their voices and having that conversation brings a lot more relatability and authenticity that you just, quite frankly, don't get in written articles.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And really, you've been hosting this for a year now, and I would love to know what stands out the most to you at this point.
Oh, that's a good one. I would say it's been incredible to reconnect with some people. I mean, we've had people on this podcast that I've known for years, and I've still learned something new. We've had people that I just recently had started working with, and it was an amazing opportunity just to get to know them a little bit better. And so I'd say that's the best part. But if you wanted to know probably the biggest lesson, balancing content that brings value to listeners and highlights professional expertise from both, whether it's myself or clients, that sponsor podcasts, that's probably been the biggest challenge and the lesson that I hope I've learned, and I'm still going to continue to learn. It's an evolution, right? So if you are launching a podcast and you need it to correlate somehow to your business to promote your services, your products, something you're launching, remember that it's still got to add value to your listeners and it can't be just a big sales pitch. So biggest lessons, Stay true to your audience, stay true to who you are. Try to incorporate your business if you need to while making it relevant, and then consider if you need to bringing others along with you. So, out of curiosity, what made you say yes when I pitched out the idea for co-host?
Well, if you kind of think back, I mean, never in a million years did I think I would be doing this. And the way that our paths have crossed, it's just been pretty incredible. But when you did present this, Connect to Develop, let me start there. Really, it didn't feel like another healthcare podcast. So that's one. And when I was first engaging, I was a guest. So it was my first episode. I was a guest, and the conversation felt so natural. It was energizing. It was real. You really set a really great atmosphere. And I walked away really feeling like, wow, this is the kind of space where meaningful dialogue really happens. And then after that, we reconnected through just another consulting project, just an aside. And I saw how much we were aligned around our values, education, connection, elevating others. And so really honestly, Marney, you made it easy to say yes. And so now what's come to fruition is this has been a chance for me to stretch in new ways, really share perspectives, not only from my background, but just from all the experiences I've had, and hopefully bring some valuable content and just concepts for our listeners. For the listeners out there who may have their own podcast and are thinking about whether or not they want to bring on a co-host, what advice would you have for them as part of that consideration?
You've got to marry who's a good foil for you, right? So you and I are very aligned in, our work ethic and the things that matter to us and just the way that we approach life. But we have very different personalities. We have different backgrounds. I come from heavy surgery. You come from heavy anesthesia, but with still healthcare, right? So as long as the vision of your podcast and the vision and perspective and work ethic of the person you want to bring on is aligned, and then you have to have those kind of hard to have transparent conversations with, hey, we've got to ramp this up somehow, or we've got to, highlight X, Y, and Z in our businesses. This is what I'm thinking. Are you there for it? So if you have that communication, then I think it's an easy ask and an easy yes to find help, Huge thank you to a very dear friend of mine and a marketing guru, Casey Johnson, for a strategy call that really helped spark this new iteration. And so I would just have to say, be super intentional, everyone, and be very fair to who you're bringing on, because they're not there just to support you. They have to be an equal partner.
I want to just go back to your comment about Casey, because Casey is incredible. So I couldn't agree more. And I really do think it was a perfect time to bring her in when we both really wanted to make sure that what we were offering was valuable to our listeners, but also highlighting what we both offer individually in our consulting businesses. And to your point, we kind of had to unpack that together. And for those of you wondering why we keep emphasizing why we want to bring the podcast and highlight our consulting work, it's really to be transparent. This podcast takes time, it takes energy and money to produce. Both Marney and I put so much into this because we love what we're doing and what we're sharing. And so while we're helping others, really spreading knowledge, if it isn't something that's bringing some type of monetary value, then we have to assess how much time we give this, as well as, how we allocate our time in other areas as well. So I think those are all really, really good points.
And so here's the refresh for those of you going, okay, get to the point. Moving forward, Connect to Develop is really going to focus on content that's going to help more of your small to mid-sized healthcare companies or physician practices that are growing in their segments and markets. So for me personally, the content that I will be very excited to unpack and go deeper into are go-to-market and market development strategies. So think customer acquisition and sales process refinement, value proposition and messaging alignment, probably one of my favorites. This is more of your voice of the customer. Are you really ensuring that your message aligns with what, how, and where your customer or prospect needs to see it, and where they see it and how often? And medical education and sales or clinical team training from design to build out. So which is, basically your standard sales training or customer education and adoption training programs.
All really exciting content. And from my side, I'll be diving deeper into leadership and organizational strategy, which I'm incredibly passionate about, which has been kind of the tone throughout our time together. And that's where I see the biggest opportunities for sustainable growth, especially for startups and mid-sized healthcare companies. So, from my end, listeners can expect to hear about leadership development, operational clarity, really scaling teams and aligning strategy with execution. Even though I come from a healthcare background, these are leadership principles that are really universal. So I think they apply regardless of the type of industry. So whether you're launching a med tech or guiding teams through change, my goal is to really help growth-minded leaders create alignment that actually lasts and not necessarily just momentum, but generate some real results that move the needle. So if you're leading a healthcare team, you're building a product, or just trying to think more strategically within your role, welcome to Connect to Develop. We're so glad you're here.
Well, I hope our listeners are as excited as we are and look forward to launching our first refreshed episode, which will be next week.
You can find more interviews on our YouTube channel at Marney Reid Presents.